Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov again to the Cooper family. Last week for Thanksgiving, my family took a road trip down to Asheville, North Carolina. By the way, when you travel with children, it's a trip, not a vacation. On our way, other than the great state of Michigan, we passed through parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And needless to say, the further south we drove, the more the landscape began to change as we eventually came upon the Blue Ridge Mountains. And coming to the top of a particular ridge on I-75 and seeing the mountain landscape in front of me, I was moved to offer the blessing we traditionally offer when awestruck by a natural wonder. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oseh ma'aseh bereshit, which acknowledges God for doing the doings of creation. It's simply amazing to think that there are folks who have that kind of view when they wake up every single day, that they can look out their windows, see mountain ranges and peaks, be in awe, and just say, wow. I express this blessing in my life far too infrequently, because while Michigan is surrounded by the Great Lakes, I admittedly don't see them all that often. I live a relatively landlocked life on flat terrain with borders mostly between 13 and 14-mile roads along Middle Belt. My kids are at Hillel Day School. I work at Adat Shalom. My house is between them. I could probably survive most days with a golf cart, but for the Michigan weather. The one time of year that I inevitably find myself inspired such that I offer the natural wonders blessing is when the leaves change on the trees, but have not yet fallen. I see what was once green and now appearing in hues of red, orange, yellow, fuchsia, and the like, and I can't help but be wowed. And in those moments, I find God in the place where I live. But day to day, for much of the year, those natural awe moments are absent for me and aren't at the top of my mind. And I'm guessing many of you can relate. In this week's Parsha, Jacob has fled home in his brother's wrath and is on a journey. He goes to sleep and has a vivid dream, as Josh so beautifully told us, where God speaks to Jacob and informs him that he's the inheritor of the covenant that God made with Abraham and Isaac. His descendants will be numerous, he'll inherit the land and more. And upon awaking, Jacob utters the famous phrase found over my shoulder. Surely Adonai is present in this place, and I did not know. Commentators have long struggled with this statement, often trying to understand how it could have possibly been that Jacob wasn't conscious of God's presence, particularly given the traditional belief in God's omnipresence. Rashi thinks that what Jacob is saying is simply that had he known the place was holy, he wouldn't have slept there. So please think twice before dozing off during the rabbi's sermon in shul. We can see you. Sforno says that Jacob was saying that had he known the site was particularly special, he would have been able to better prepare himself mentally and spiritually to receive the divine message. Or perhaps simply by virtue of Jacob knowing that God had actively communicated with Abraham and Isaac, but had yet to communicate with him directly, that he could only logically assume that God wasn't present. Now the Torah's narrative continues. As in the next verse we read, Vayirah, Vayomar Manorah HaMakom Hazeh. In awe, Jacob said, how awesome is this place? In making his exclamation about not knowing God was in that place, the Torah tells us the emotion that Jacob felt was awe. He had an unexpected God encounter, not dissimilar from those that we might have when marveling in awe at creation, be it mountains or oceans or the stars in the sky. And in this moment of awe of finding his personal connection with God, Jacob embraces his role as the inheritor of Abraham and Isaac's tradition. He forges his personal relationship with God. So what is it about awe-filled moments that have such tremendous spiritual power? Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught that awe precedes faith. It's at the root of faith. We must grow in awe in order to reach faith. He writes that awe is an intuition for the dignity of all things, a realization that things not only are what they are, but also stand, however remotely, for something supreme. Awe is a sense for transcendence, for the reference everywhere to mystery beyond all things. It enables us to perceive in the world intimations of the divine, to sense in small things the beginning of infinite significance, to sense the ultimate in the common and the simple, to feel in the rush of the passing the stillness of the eternal. What we cannot comprehend by analysis, we become aware of in awe. Paraphrasing, awe is what fills the gaps when we encounter things that are amazing but simple human brains simply can't understand. When we humble ourselves and acknowledge that there's much about this world we don't understand. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the pictures being shared by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, but they are unbelievable. They are awe-inspiring. They make it feel, in the words of the Orach Chaim, teaching about Jacob's interaction, as if something concealed has been revealed. Now, admittedly, there are some voices in our tradition who express caution when it comes to how we go about cultivating our sense of awe. After all, if everything is awesome, then nothing is awesome. It could also very well be that for the folks who wake up and see the mountains every morning, since that's their everyday normal, they become numb to just how awesome they are. We're actually taught in the Mishnah Brura that we shouldn't say the blessing, Oseh Ma'aseh Bereshit, when seeing a natural wonder, if we've already seen it and said a blessing over it within the past 30 days. Mostly this is out of concern for offering a blessing in vain. We've already blessed that thing, so there's no need to bless it again. But with respect to those who came before me, I think that approach is incredibly misguided. We should aspire to be in awe of the world around us, to not allow for the incredible to become mundane, to recognize each and every day how amazing this world is, and to appreciate that we're a part of it, and to have our faith grow as a result. In many ways, we're just like Jacob, unaware or unattuned to the awesome that is constantly surrounding us. We walk through life and occasionally are surprised when we have these connective, awe-filled moments, but there's no excuse for us to be unaware of all that's awesome. We know better. So my challenge to each of us this week is to bring intention to finding at least one moment each day where you can say to yourself, wow, this was awesome, and I didn't recognize it until just now. And thereafter, if not on a daily basis, perhaps keep track of these awe-filled moments in a journal as they present themselves. And then consider making it a part of your regular spiritual practice to review your journal entries, reminding yourself of just how awesome this world is and how these connective, awe-filled moments are just waiting for us to acknowledge them, regardless of which state we might live in and what its topography might be and how much time we spend on Middle Belt Road. Shabbat Shalom.